Om Ajnanatirmirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chaksurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Gurave Gaurachandraya Radhikaya Tadalaya Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tan Bhaktaya Namo Namah. Hare Krishna, Radhe Radhe. So today we'll continue reading from Srila Gurudev's lectures, Holland, 1996. We're still on the first lecture in this book, which was the first lecture given in the Western world for Srila Gurudev. Srila Gurudev was glorifying how Srila Prabhupada, he came to the West and performed a miracle, made so many devotees, and inspired them all to dedicate their lives to Krishna consciousness, playing mridanga, kartals, hundreds of thousands of devotees, Gurudev said. This was like a miracle. And that he came alone, penniless, having nothing but the holy name and the whole spiritual world in his heart, and the teachings and the order of his Gurudev, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. So, Srila Gurudev, he's saying, when Prabhupada came to the West, there were so many obstacles. People ate not only eggs and flesh, but cows and so forth, eating and being merry. They did not know who is Krishna, who is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. There were so many persons who know of God and would pray only that, God, give me bread and butter. And that's all. Swami Maharaj played such a wonderful role that in a very little time, devotees like you, Srila Gurudev chokes up, developed attachment to Radha Krishna and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Gaura Nityananda Prabhu. He has done these things. Right, so it was not easy for Srila Prabhupada to come here and preach this message. There was so much opposition, and everyone here in the West was like, and currently is, completely absorbed in eating meat, eating eggs and cows, and enjoying sense gratification, just eating and being merry, not thinking about Krishna or God or anything like that, just their own sense gratification. And this is very dangerous. This is like demoniac mentality. And demons, they're willing to do anything for their own sense gratification, even at the cost of violence and so many other things. So Prabhupada came here and turned the most wretched kinds of persons into very beautiful, pure devotees that had a developed attachment to Krishna, to Radha Krishna, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. This is like a miracle. And also so many persons who were just praying to God for bread and butter, having no deeper relationship than that. Gurudeva was saying that's all that they were doing, just praying that. And no one knew who Krishna was, but he spread it far and wide, very beautifully. And now Gurudev, he is speaking about his relationship with Srila Prabhupada, which goes back a very long ways, till about the 1950s. He said, I know Swamiji from the very beginning, when we met in Mathura, a town in India. Mathura is very close to Vrindavan. In India, it's like northern India. Mathura and Vrindavan are right next to each other. And Srila Gurudev, he had a temple there in Mathura called the Keshavaji Gaudiya Mat. Swamiji was a very good friend of our Gurudev, who was Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Goswami Maharaj. From the beginning, they were god brothers. So Srila Gurudev's, Srila Narayan Goswami Maharaj, his guru is Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Maharaj, who took initiation and had his guru was Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Thakur, the disciple of Bhaktivinoda Thakur. And so Srila Prabhupada, Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj, he was also a disciple of Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Thakur. So Srila Prabhupada and Srila Gurudev's guru were god brothers, and they were very good friends. Gurudev is saying that Swamiji came to Mathura, and one day he told me a story. He said that when I took initiation from Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he told me to preach in the Western countries in the English language. He would frequently go to meet Srila Prabhupada, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, and he read a shloka from the Srimad Bhagavatam. Yasyaham anugrinami harishe tad dhanam shanai. The meaning of this shloka is that those who take shelter of Krishna, Krishna takes away everything that they possess. And that devotee becomes a street beggar. If he still does not give up Krishna at that time, then Krishna gives everything to that devotee. Swamiji told me that I was so afraid of this, devotees laugh, that Krishna will take everything away from me. I'm living with my wife and children, and I'm the manager of Bengal Chemical. Srila Prabhupada, he had a few businesses. He was like a pharmacist, so he would distribute medicines like that. And he's saying, if Swamiji had stayed there for some time longer, he could have been the owner of that company. Anyhow, he missed that seat and went to Allahabad, and there he began to produce medicines himself. He built a very good business there. He opened a factory, and so many people were employed there. But in a short time, the business failed, and the factory was sold to someone else. He then made a medicine shop, but gradually this also went away. Then he began to do a small medicine business himself. In this way, he would sell medicines. But in due course, that was also lost. Then, penniless, he came to our Gaudiya Mat, Keshavaji Gaudiya Mat in Mathura. I respectfully welcomed him. I had met him before in Calcutta, so I knew him. I myself would prepare chapatis with ghee and many kinds of vegetable dishes for him. He was very happy with me, and we became bosom friends. At that time, I was Bhaktivedanta Narayan Maharaj, and he was Abhay Charnaravinda. I told him, "You are so qualified. You should take sannyas at once, without delay." At that time, he told me that story, that I was fearing that Krishna would take away everything and that I would become a beggar. Now I am seeing that I have been becoming a beggar, and at last, in reality, I will become a street beggar by taking sannyas. So, Srila Prabhupada, he was afraid that Krishna would take away everything, and it happened like that. And this is Krishna's mercy, that he becomes fully dependent on Krishna, fully absorbed and only thinking about Krishna, having no more material attachments in this world, and can be fully absorbed in hearing and chanting like this. No distractions. And so eventually, Prabhupada, he came to Mathura to meet with Srila Gurudeva, and they're encouraging him to take sannyas. Sannyas is a name for the renounced order of life. In the Varna ashram system, there's student life, brahmachari, grihastha life, householder life, vanaprast, retired life, and then sannyas is renounced, fully renounced life. Where you're like a traveling beggar, and you have no job, you don't stay in any fixed place or any home, and you simply travel and preach the glories of the Lord. This is like the last part of your life. So each section is divided into 25-year divisions like that. Student life is the first 25 years, householder life next 25, retired life next 25, then from like 75 to 100 is sannyas, renounced order, traveling and preaching, and giving up everything in this world to go back to Godhead, completely giving up one's family and one's job, one's home, everything, and getting ready to leave one's body and go to the spiritual world to serve Krishna. Otherwise, if we stay with our families and we maintain our jobs and our homes like this, then it's much more difficult to think about Krishna and practice bhakti, Krishna consciousness, because we can be very easily distracted by so many grandchildren and children and so many material problems. Renounced order of life is for completely dying to this world and fully absorbing oneself in meditation on the Supreme Lord, and also going around and helping others also wake up and remember Krishna and not be so engrossed in material life. So they're trying to convince Srila Prabhupada to take up this order of life and travel and preach. At that time, our Gurudeva came from Navadvip, which is Bengal in India, eastern India, I think. And he and Swamiji embraced each other. I told my Gurudeva he should take sannyas. Guru Maharaj also told him, "You should take sannyas and preach everywhere." and an old man of almost 99 years of age, whose name was Sanatan Prabhu. He was a disciple of Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati. He said, "Don't fear, I am 99 years old. If you will take sannyas, then I will also take sannyas." Then Swami Maharaja agreed, "Yes, I will take sannyas." We had a wonderful celebration for his sannyas ceremony on the day of the full moon. I made his danda, his walking stick, not a walking stick, but the danda is a stick that represents one in the renounced order of life. And danda literally means punishment. So it's a stick. You use it to walk around also. You also can hit people with it or defend yourself from dogs or whatever it may be. It's said to be the representation of God himself, Narayan himself, the danda. There's many other hidden meanings, but I won't go into that right now. It's not important, but Gurudeva, he made this danda, which is the signature of a sannyasi to hold this stick, this danda. He made it himself, Gurudeva, for Prabhupada. So they have such a very sweet and deep relationship. They go back. He served Srila Prabhupada so intimately. So Gurudeva, he wrapped the bamboo rods in cloth himself as Narayan. I made his upper cloth and his outer dress. Gurudeva arranged all of his cloth himself for Prabhupada. He did not know even how to wear this cloth, and I showed him how to wear it. Guru Maharaj came and performed the yajna. Krishnadas Babaji Maharaj was also there. He began to do kirtan with so many brahmacharis, and in this way he was given sannyas. Then he became Bhakti Vedanta. I was also Bhakti Vedanta. His Gurudev, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati, gave him the title Abhay Charanaravinda Bhakti Vedanta. So he was senior to me in that way, even though in sannyas he was junior to me, because Gurudev, he took sannyas some years before Srila Prabhupada. But in bhakti, he was senior to me. Gurudeva and the devotees laugh. When he would meet me, he would request me to sing kirtan. Jaya Radhe, Jaya Krishna, Jaya Vrindavan, and Hari Hare Nama Krishna Yadavaya Namaha. Especially, he would request me to sing Shri Rupa Manjari Pada, Se Mora Sampada, Se Mora Jivan Er Jivan, this song. Srila Gurudev, he was a very expert singer. He was very good at singing. So Prabhupada, he would request him to sing kirtans and hear his beautiful voice. So Gurudeva is saying, those who say that Srila Prabhupada did not preach about Raganuga Bhakti, what is the greater kirtan than this? Shri Rupa Manjari Pada, Se Mora Sampada, Se Mora Jivan Er Jivan. This is the best kirtan of the Ragatmikas. What to speak of the Raganugas? So, this kirtan, Shri Rupa Manjari Pada, Se Mora Sampada, this is a song and glorification of Shri Rupa Manjari, who was a very near and dear devotee of Srimati Radhika, the beloved of Sri Krishna. And it has many esoteric meanings, and there's devotees who think that Srila Prabhupada did not speak about very elevated topics like service to the divine couple in Vrindavan, to Radha and Krishna. But Srila Gurudeva is saying here that Prabhupada, he knew about all these things. He knew about service to Srimati Radhika. He knew about the paramour mood of love for Sri Krishna in the mood of the gopis. And Gurudeva is glorifying this kirtan that Prabhupada would have him sing. That it's the best kirtan of all the devotees in the spiritual world who have that rag. Rag means an unquenchable thirst to render service to one's object of love and service. There's a specific shloka that defines this, written by Rupa Gosvami in his Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, but that's the essence of it. This is a very high stage of love for God, love for Krishna on the spectrum. Rag is very high, so those devotees in the spiritual world, they're known as ragatmika devotees. Those devotees who have this rag is completely saturating their atma or their soul. Atma means soul. So the ragatmika devotees, those devotees who are following in the footsteps and trying to aspire to serve like those ragatmika devotees in the spiritual world, they're called rag anuga. Anuga means to follow in the footsteps. So they're following those ragatmikas. But Gurudeva is saying here that even in the spiritual world, the highest devotee in the spiritual world is Srimati Radhika. She is the embodiment of Krishna's internal potency. All of his Shakti, all of his energy, the embodiment of that is Srimati Radhika, his pleasure-giving potency. And so he created everything in this world to serve him. God made everything, and the function of his potency and everything that he created is to serve himself, because he is the supreme enjoyer, the supreme object of love and service. So the very embodiment, the sum total of all of his energy of serving himself is Srimati Radhika. And Rupa Manjari is Srimati Radhika's maidservant, her very near and dear servant. So this song that Gurudeva would sing is glorifying that Rupa Manjari in the spiritual world. So, Gurudeva is saying that there are 4 differences between Ragatmika Bhakti and Raganuga. Raganuga is sadhan bhakti, or bhakti in the stage of practice. And Ragatmika is not sadhan bhakti. Ragatmika bhakti is only in Goloka Vrindavan, in the spiritual world, not here in this material world. But we may become qualified for this. Swami Prabhupada has come so that from Vaidhi Bhakti we will advance. Beginning from Vaidhi Bhakti, we will gradually develop our love for Krishna. We will enter sadhan bhakti, the practice of bhakti yoga, and then bhav bhakti, or bhakti in transcendental emotion, feeling a much more mature symptoms of love and affection for Krishna in a specific mood. And at this point, a devotee has realized his spiritual form, more or less. So then from there, advancing to prema bhakti. Swami Maharaj has now come only to clear the jungles and only preach Harinam, meaning that they should realize what is Harinam. Not chanting without any ras or without any relationship or mood. We should chant with attachment and with so much ras that in our whole life we will not be able to stop chanting Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. We may be chanting and remembering Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, but there are very rare devotees who will have taste in this. But if any taste comes, then that person will not be able to give up chanting the holy name. Their devotion will go up and will come to bhav bhakti. And after that it will become pure prema bhakti, pure bhakti. Swami Maharaj has now come only to clear the jungle and thorns. But very soon, Krishna called him, "Your task is accomplished now, so come on, come on. You should come and be with me here, with Radhika in the spiritual world." And so Krishna called him back to him in Goloka Vrindavan. So I'll end with this, that Srila Prabhupada did not come to only give a very general mood of service to the Supreme Lord, because Srila Prabhupada would say that we are all looking for sweetness. We all want to taste something very sweet. And that's why we look for like rasagulas, gulab jamans, cookies, cakes, chocolates. Everyone is looking for something very sweet. Our acharyas would say that everything should end sweetly. Like we always have dessert last. And dessert is known to be like the topmost preparation out of a meal, is the sweet. And so Prabhupada would say that this sweetness, this is like the relationships that we have. Ultimately, the spiritual relationships. But in this world, the thing that we really treasure the most are relationships. And those loving exchanges we have with our beloved friends, mother, father, wife, husband, like that. So generally people, they may worship God, but in a very distant way, and they don't have so much love for God because they have more love for their wives and their husbands than they do for God. But Srila Prabhupada, Gurudeva is saying that we should chant with ras, we should chant the holy name with prem and attachment, that we won't be able to stop chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram. And so this ras is, the foundation of that is a specific relationship with Krishna, either as a friend or a beloved or like a son, like that. These are the most prominent rasas in Goloka Vrindavan. And Gurudeva is saying very rare devotees have taste in chanting because they don't have a very thick relationship with Krishna. They don't know what their rasa is or what their relationship is. It's like if you don't know somebody, you don't have very much interest in them, you don't know how to relate with them because you don't know whether this person is your friend or your enemy or your coworker, or like your, if they don't have affection for you, they can't be like your parental relationship or anything like that. So if we can have a specific mood of love for Krishna, then so much taste will come in chanting that we won't be able to stop chanting. And it increases it gives us the ability to work towards going to Krishna and being able to relate with him in a specific way and actually go to the spiritual world. And he's stressing the fact that our bhakti shouldn't stay in one place, that we shouldn't start in the beginning and then stay there forever, but we should develop to increasing, and forever increasing our love for Krishna. Like yesterday we were talking about how love is unlimited. Krishna is eternal. The spiritual world is unlimited and eternal. So similarly, love for Krishna is also unlimited, and it's ever increasing without stopping. It just continues to expand and deepen and become more and more thick. And the devotee feels an ever increasing feeling of ecstasy in that love, which is unlimited. And Srila Gurudev, he would say that bhakti is like a current, and that current should always be flowing, and that if the current is stopped at any point and the water is just sitting there and it becomes stagnant, Gurudev would say that it'll become rotten and then it will go away. And so the point is on our development in bhakti, Gurudev would say that we should never be satisfied with where we are at in our bhakti. It should always be increasing and moving along and developing. Gurudev would say that if you were to be in the first grade for 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, for your whole life, just in first grade, and you're not developing, you're not advancing, going to second grade and third grade and fourth grade and fifth grade, and learning more and developing more, maturing more, then he would say, what is this? This is, this isn't right. We're supposed to develop. So this is dependent on constantly taking a higher association and following their instructions and practicing ourselves under their guidance. Otherwise, if we're not practicing under guidance, there's every chance to deviate and maybe have so many misconceptions. Gurudeva would say that if you are just reading the Shastras, he said so many wrong ideas will come in your mind. You may misinterpret what the scriptures are saying, and you may concoct some false ideas and practices. And so we must always be under the guidance of more advanced devotees who can bring us up to their level. Otherwise, how can we learn anything unless we take shelter of someone more advanced? We go to school and the teacher of that class is an expert in that subject. They've put in all of the years and all of the practice, and they become masters of that, and therefore we learn from them. So spiritual life, it is dependent on the association of more advanced devotees, even just a little bit, but it is the root principle of spiritual life to always be under the guidance of higher association. And then we can gradually continue developing. So there was, then we can go towards achieving our goal of pure love. And Gurudeva was saying, Prabhupada, he didn't come just to get rid of your misconceptions and that's it. He came to not only get rid of your misconceptions, but establish us in something, in some positive attainment. Not that we just give up everything and then we have nothing to accept. Srila Prabhupada, he would say that the idle hands are the devil's workshop. We hear that common saying also. And so he would say that there's good activities and there's bad activities. That if you let the child do whatever he likes, then there's very good chance that he will do something naughty and he'll get into trouble and he'll cause so many problems and he'll start stealing things or he'll start doing all sorts of nonsense. But if you give him something to do, then his senses can be controlled because he has some engagement. Srila Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita says that the soul cannot live for even a moment without performing some activity. And we see that in our own lives, that every moment you cannot go without doing anything. You're either thinking, or you're breathing, or you're moving, or you're resting, looking around, We're always doing something. And so nothing is actually bad in one way. Just like fire, it is not bad, but it can be used for good things or bad things. It can be used to cook very nice preparations, Gurudeva would say, or it can be used to burn a whole forest down or hurt somebody. You just like this. Similarly, a knife is not bad. A knife, it can chop up foodstuffs to be used to make nice preparations again, or it can be used to kill somebody. So it is not that the knife is bad, it's just how it's used. Similarly, our senses and our life force and this world and everything, our material bodies, our thoughts, our words, none of this is bad. We cannot just give up everything because it's possible of doing some bad things. If it's used in the service of Krishna, then everything becomes dovetailed, Prabhupada would say, and it becomes it reaches its perfection as an activity or an object. The perfection of thinking is to think about Krishna. The perfection of walking is to walk to the temple of Krishna. The perfection of the eyes is to see the beautiful form of Krishna. The perfection of your words is to speak about the glories of Krishna. The perfection of the ears is to hear about the glories of Krishna. The perfection of the mind is to think about Krishna. The perfection of the hands is to serve Krishna, serve the deity in so many ways, serve the devotees. And similarly, all of our activities, there's a verse in the Bhagavatam of how Ambarish Maharaj dedicated his whole body, mind, and words in the service of Krishna in so many different ways. So we can go over that sloka at some point. So when Prabhupada came, he said, "You're not this body, you're not this body, you're not this body. Okay, you're not this body. This world is just illusory Maya, and this is not your real home. You should go back to Godhead, and you should stop all of your nonsense activities, and you should serve Krishna. And you're not God. Forget about that. Don't try to merge into the impersonal Brahma Jyoti like this." But then that begs the question, okay, if we're not these bodies, then what are we? Who are we? Do we have some personality? What is our goal? What is our object of attainment? And how do we serve Krishna? What do we do? If we should stop doing all these bad things, then what are the positive activities that we should actually engage in? And Gurudeva would always talk about this. There has to be some positive activity, not just negating the bad, but doing the good things. And Srila Gurudeva would say that, what is the easiest way to get all of the air out of a pot? And you would think it would be to suck all of the air out of the pot until all of the air was gone. But that is actually very difficult. He said the easiest way is by pouring water into the pot, and then automatically all of the air is going to go out and it's not going to come back in. instead of sucking it so much. It may even break if one were to do that. And so, in this way, the easiest way to get rid of all the unwanted thoughts and all the unwanted desires and all the unwanted feelings and moods and terrible things in our hearts and minds, all of our worries, all of our anxieties, all of our fears, is to constantly think about Krishna and pour that water of hearing about Krishna and remembering Krishna and all of his pastimes and all of his devotees and all of his teachings. 24 hours a day, just constantly singing about him and relishing these moods of love and service to Krishna in so many different ways. Then automatically, all of our unwanted activities will go away. All of our unwanted things will go away. And we'll be Krishna conscious. It's just that simple. It's whatever you do is what will happen. So that's the secret to success, is just, if you want to stop your hands and your mind from going to all of these terrible places and doing all these terrible things, then you simply engage them in some very relishable and nice activities. You wouldn't need to think about terrible sense gratification if you were to think about Krishna, because that is so relishable and so blissful and so tasteful, if we can develop taste for that. Krishna is the sweetest of all sweet things. He is the source of all sweetness, the embodiment of all sweetness. Everything he does is sweet. His walking is sweet, his looking is sweet, his dancing is sweet, his talking is sweet, his walking is sweet, his flute playing is sweet. Everything about him is so sweet. His pastimes are sweet. His clothes are sweet. His cow herding is sweet. His friendship is sweet. Everything. And so if we can become attracted by that, then our minds won't go anywhere else. Our mouths, if we want to stop speaking terrible things to other people, then we simply constantly engage the tongue in chanting about Krishna, chanting his name, chanting his glories. If we want to stop hearing about terrible things, just constantly hear about Krishna, the embodiment of all happiness and bliss. And in that way, we can very easily, like Gurudeva would say, don't try to chase your shadow. By looking at your shadow, you're only looking at the bad things, and that's all you'll get. And trying to get rid of all of your unwanted things and all of your anarthas, and I'm going to try and become pure and not have any bad thoughts anymore, or do any bad things. But if you're always focusing on that, then how is it possible? But if you look towards the sun, then automatically your shadow goes away. All unwanted things go away. So by looking at Krishna, and by chanting Krishna's name, by thinking about Krishna, by hearing about Krishna, 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 then there's no more time, there's no more space, there's no more opportunity for any unwanted things anymore. Because you don't have time to do any bad things. You don't have time to think any bad thoughts or say any bad things, because you're so absorbed in that loving relationship. You don't want to stop all of these things. thinking about Krishna. So this is the very easy process for purifying our hearts. The Bhagavatam says that once Krishna comes in the heart through the ears, through hearing about him, he removes all other bad things and establishes himself there forever. Because once Krishna steals our hearts, there's no going back. There's nothing more sweeter, there's nothing more blissful than serving him and all of these things, loving him. So the point is that Prabhupada came and he cut all our misconceptions, but he didn't have so much time to very clearly help everybody establish themselves in something positive. So Srila Prabhupada, he would say that in the diseased condition of life, right? Imagine someone is in a hospital and they have some disease. They have to follow a specific diet and then take some specific medicine, and gradually their disease goes away. And so they follow a certain set of activities. Okay, don't do this and do this. Don't eat that, don't eat that. Only eat this, take this medicine. But then once that person is healthy again, once that person is healthy and he no longer has the disease, now he has another set of activities. And so it's described that our condition in this life is one of having this material disease, this disease of material existence. So right now we're trying to enjoy our senses, we're trying to enjoy this world, to know without any success. And so we have to give up our material activities. We have to give up trying to enjoy our senses, taking drugs, having illicit sex, eating meat, gambling, so many other things. But these are the four main regulative principles. Give up trying to enjoy this world, and gradually this material disease will go away. So this is this is the diet. Give up all these bad things, material things. And then the medicine is hearing about Krishna, chanting Krishna's names constantly. And then once we're liberated from the material condition of life, then that is like being cured of the disease. But once we're cured, what are the person's activities after he is cured from the disease? He has some activities that he's performing, Prabhupada would say. And this is like devotional service or bhakti. Now that we're no longer engrossed in material life, and we're out of the hospital and our disease of material disease is cured, now we can go towards the spiritual world and perform spiritual activities instead of material activities. And the person who is free from the hospital, they go to their wife or their husband or their mother and father and their children and their job, and they do so many things. So similarly, we serve Krishna, we love Krishna, we serve him in so many different ways. And this was something that had not been firmly established yet in many of the devotees of Prabhupada, that they were understanding that they were not these bodies and that they were servants of Krishna, but in what specific relationship that was not extremely clear. What specific form of Krishna was not very clear. There's many incarnations of Krishna, there's many forms of Krishna. So we have to be one-pointed, and we have to have a goal. Gurudeva would say that if you go to an airport or a bus station and you don't know what your destination is, you don't know what ticket you're buying, then how can you go anywhere? We have to know very specifically what part of the spiritual world we want to go to, whether it's Vrindavan or Ayodhya, where Ram is, or where Nrsimhadev is, or where Dwarka is, or any of the other unlimited spiritual planets that we hear about. We have to know exactly where we are going. And so this wasn't extremely clear, and that is why many of the devotees, Gurudeva would say, in ISKCON, they fell down and went back into householder life or entered it for the first time, but from being brahmachari, from being renounced, or even sannyasis, they fell down to the stage of householder because they didn't have a specific rasa or a specific relationship of love with Krishna. So that's basically what Gurudeva is speaking about here, and that we should try to keep developing instead of going down or staying in the same place. Our bhakti will simply go away. We cannot be in the first grade forever. And after cutting all of the jungles, Srila Prabhupada, he wanted to build, right? If you clear land, you clear some jungles, you want to build something there, not just leave it barren. If you leave it barren, then so many weeds will again grow back, right? You have to build something there. And that positive thing that you're building is the temple of Bhakti Ras, the temple of love for Krishna. And Prabhupada did not have so much time to do this. So he requested Srila Gurudeva to help him, help his devotees continue to advance. But for so many reasons that we won't get into right now, that didn't exactly happen. So one last point I'll end with is that Srila Bhakti Raksak Sridhara Gosvami Maharaja, another disciple of Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he would give this in three different gradations. And he would say that there is the land of exploitation, that this whole material world, everyone is simply trying to exploit everything and everyone in this world for their own selfish desires, their own sense gratification. And they're taking so many resources out of the earth. They're cheating other people. They're trying as hard as they can to exploit everything in this world for their own happiness, material happiness, temporary material happiness. So this is the land of exploitation. But when one comes to a higher stage, they realize, okay, nothing in this world can really make me happy forever. And I don't want to do all these terrible things and try to enjoy because I can't anyways. And so I'm just going to give it up. There's no point. If I try to be happy, it will only end in suffering. So I'm just going to stop all these material activities completely. And he would say that this is the land of renunciation. So there's the land of exploitation and then the land of renunciation. Give it all up. I'm not going to do this anymore. I'm just going to sit here and be peaceful and not do all these not try to amass so much wealth, which I'll just lose at the end of the day anyways, at the end of my life. I won't try to go after women and enjoy with them because they'll leave me anyways, or I'll get some disease, or so many things may happen. I'm not going to try to enjoy nice foodstuffs or anything. I'm giving this material world up. I'm done. Renounce everything. I'm just going to sit here and be peaceful, not do any of these bad things. I'm not going to take drugs, all this stuff. I'm giving up everything. I hate my job. I'm going to give up my job, whatever it is. And then an even higher stage, the third stage, he describes is the land of dedication. Okay? So it's the land of exploitation, the land of renunciation, and the land of dedication. This is, instead of doing everything for ourselves, and instead of giving up everything and not doing anything for ourselves or anyone else, now we dedicate our lives completely and engage in so many different activities, not for ourselves and not harming anybody, but actively serving Krishna, actively serving others in an appropriate way to bring them towards Krishna, and doing everything for the pleasure of our object of worship, the Supreme Lord. And these are the three different categories like this. And now we're not, even renunciation is like selfish, that we don't want to do anything because, for what? Just so that we can be peaceful. But we don't even necessarily want to be peaceful. We want to do whatever is pleasing for Krishna. If Krishna wants us, Prabhupada would say that Krishna consciousness means to work very hard for Krishna. This is Krishna consciousness. So it doesn't mean that we simply sit and do nothing and we simply meditate. This is not Krishna consciousness. The Krishna consciousness means service. It's called devotional service. Love is active. Bhaktabandha Rasikananda Maharaj, he would say that love is a verb. Love means the act of doing something, the act of loving, of serving. And so the devotee dedicates his whole life and all of his soul and his activities and his words and all of his senses in the service of the master of the senses, the source of all the senses and creation. And in that way, all of that, his activities achieve perfection. So again, you're giving up the bad activities, but now you're free from the disease and you're doing good activities, something positive. And Bhakti Raksak Sridhara Maharaj would say that this is the only thing that will really satisfy the soul. Not renunciation, not exploitation, but dedication. Trying to please your object of service. This actually brings the soul the most amount of happiness. Gurudeva would say that we are most happy when we are serving somebody that we love. If we have a big meal in front of us, so many nice preparations, if we simply eat it for ourselves, this is not as relishable as serving it to somebody that you love. Gurudeva would say that you actually get more happiness by bringing others happiness. So we are interested in going to the land of dedication and immersing ourselves in that pure love and service to Krishna, where we can be happy forever. Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bo Radhe Radhe. This is a long class. I think I should not speak so much. I think I should make shorter classes. But I don't want to forget all of these things. If I pull myself back and I don't say all these different things, then it may be lost, I may forget it, there may not be time to speak about it tomorrow, or I have a sense of urgency that each video is like my last video. So I'm trying to just give everything that I have heard and am feeling inspired to speak about. But I know that time is short, and I certainly don't want anyone to have to listen to me for hours on end. But anyhow, nobody has to listen to the full class. I also don't want to waste anyone's time. But it's all voluntary. Prabhupada would say that at any moment you can get up and walk out of the class. Nobody is forcing you to be here. Nobody's forcing you to sit down and listen to me speak. So if somehow or other you're still here watching this, then hopefully it's because you want to be. And I hope to continue deepening all of my understandings of all these things, and this is a very good way for me to explore and remember all of the things that I've heard. Otherwise, it's very difficult for me to just think about it alone. And even if I do, then I feel like, oh, I'm not helping others. I may be benefiting from this, but what I'm saying might also help other people. So this is almost me just like thinking out loud, you could say. And Bhakti Raksak Sridhara Gosvami Maharaja, he would say like that. He would say that preaching means this has helped me and it may help you also. So in this way, speaking like this, it feels more like a service, and it feels a little bit more meaningful that it may be able to help others. And he would say like that chanting, especially in Kali Yuga, this is the topmost limb of bhakti, that Hare Nam, Hare Nam, Hare Nam eva kevalam, kalo naste vanaste vanaste vagatir anyata. That chanting the glories of the Lord and the holy name is the only way in this Kali Yuga to be delivered from this material world. It's the quickest and the best process. Not fire sacrifices or deity worship or meditation, but chanting. Because it's described in the Bhagavatam that we have very short lives. We're very lazy in Kali Yuga. Sumanda Mateo Manda Bhagya. We're very unfortunate. We have no intelligence. We're always in anxiety. We're always disturbed. This is the symptom of Kali Yuga, the age that we're in. But the great thing about Kali Yuga is that by chanting the holy name, by chanting the glories of the Lord, we can very easily attain liberation. So this is something that we hear about again and again, and that when you're speaking about Krishna, Bhakti Raksak Srila Maharaj would say that you can't help but remember Krishna. If you're alone and you're chanting or remembering, it may be that your mind can wander here and there, but if you're speaking to somebody about Krishna, you can't just start speaking about something else or something material. You have to focus on staying on topic. So it's a very powerful practice, and Gurudeva would also say that what we speak in classes, this can fly away in the sky, and it can be lost. If you're just speaking to somebody, no one else is hearing that, and they might forget it, maybe not, maybe. But nobody else will hear about it if they don't tell anybody, and if you don't tell anybody. And then they may forget it, or they have to tell somebody. But Gurudeva would say in this regard that, but whatever is written down in a book, this can help people for millions and millions and millions of years. So this isn't exactly a book, and I'm certainly not qualified to have anything to say that needs to be put down in a book or recorded. But for anyone who may not know anything about Krishna, they may be able to hear and understand something, and at least start to walk on the path of bhakti. But more than anything, it's just a very helpful thing for myself. And if it helps anyone else, then that's a very good thing also. So, thank you. Hare Krishna.